Okay, first up, outstanding project level RFCs. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Starting at the top, default values for language, ecosystem, and var set by Buildpacks. I see that this got undrafted. Do you want to talk about this a bit, Frankie?
Sure. It's on the agenda for later on, so I'm happy to like just do a quick thing later. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that more later. Dependency library RFC.
Yeah, so we got a lot of feedback on this that maybe it would make sense as a standalone thing. We're thinking about maybe closing out this RFC and just doing what was suggested and adding it side by side with the server, but maybe renaming that repo to something else potentially, and also like using that, basically using that, having one repo for like the server and the library, and eventually we're going to add actual dependency building to like the actions in that, like the GitHub workflows in that repo. So maybe just using the dep server repo to do all of that, and then like maybe it makes sense to rename it. But it seems like either way, maybe this RFC should go away and maybe we add everything to the other repo and then talk about renaming it at some point.
I don't know if you're at the meeting last week, but I think there was also some confusion sort of about the intended audience and the workflows that would be enabled by this addition. So if we're going to close it out anyways, maybe it doesn't matter if we opened up another version of this. I think just having some details about who uses it when could be really helpful.
I think if we do what we're suggesting, we would add the library to the dep server repo and like use it inside the dep server repo itself, like in the workflow, in the GitHub workflows there. And so that might make that a little clearer. But in that case, with I think the RFC would no longer go at the project level, right? So we would have to open either a PR or an RFC somewhere else to add all this stuff there, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Cool.
Okay. Cool. So I guess we'll do that and we can close this out.
All right. Go HTTP function build pack. Do we know if there's any updates here? I know Matt's not here. Seems like this is where we left it, unless someone has anything they want to add on the topic. Okay. Moving on to language specific RFCs. Let me drag a tab over here. Did that work? You guys can see the language specific ones? Great. It seems like the only one is restructure RFC for PHP. Does anyone want to talk about this RFC?
There's not much to add here other than just waiting for either more comments or approvals.
Okay. So everyone take a look at this. And I will stop sharing because I think we're done with the review part of this. So the next item is upstream RFCs to take a look at. The person who added this like to talk about it?
Oh yeah, that's me. No, I just figured that it would be helpful. There is an upstream RFC that is getting close to, I guess, being merged. It has approval, and I believe that it's an FCP. I could be wrong about that, actually. It is an FCP, and it's not like I think that it's currently marked as a distribution spec because it does affect that, but it will affect Buildpacks on a pretty significant level. Not right away. I think it'll be a little while before this gets rolled in to the life cycle and whatnot. But we're all specifically Buildpack maintainers here, so or Buildpack maintainer adjacent. So taking a look at that might behoove you. In particular, it might be interesting for us to take a look at it with the Core Deps team here, because it is sort of has a loadout of what a more standardized dependency layout would look like inside of Buildpack Toml. And so making sure that we have all of that information present for us on the dep server would be really good.
So this is mostly a PSA.
Yeah.
For folks to take a look at and comment during your final comment period if you have anything you'd like to add.
I figured it would be the perfect time to have people take a look.
Thanks for bringing that up for us. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so everyone take a look at that. Moving on, build plan, build pack code owners.
Yeah, this is also me. So as per an RFC, it would have been a couple of months ago, build pack was adopted into Paketo community. I am the maintainer of that build pack, which is fine for now. I make sure I go in and update it when it gets any new sort of library updates or anything like that. But I figured it would probably make more sense for myself as an individual to not necessarily be the sole maintainer of that build pack, and perhaps see if anyone wanted to, or any group wanted to adopt that into their team. We don't need to talk about, I guess we don't need to do it like right now. But if you are a maintainer of a team that is willing to adopt the build pack, let me know. And I guess I will, I guess I would wonder, is that something that I need to put an RFC in terms of, like this is being adopted by this team, or can it just be at the team level? They'll just adopt it.
I think if it's an existing team that adopts it, I think it's just really up to that team to designate that they'll adopt it, and we can handle transferring like ownership control or any of the other kind of permission settings that need to take place to make that happen. If it's about establishing a new team around that, then I think that would require an RFC.
Cool. I don't think I want a new team. I think it falls within the boundaries of, I'd say, at least one existing team. So,
Which team?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the tooling team.
yeah, if I would put it anywhere, it would be in tooling.
I think I voiced this at the time. I think the tooling team would be happy to take that.
Yeah, as a member of the tooling team, I'm fine with that.
Cool. You guys can have it. I don't want it anymore.
Congratulations, you've adopted a build pack.
Yeah, they just keep multiplying.
It's a mess.
They're like tribbles.
I'll just work with you really quickly. I don't think there's anything that I need to do to sign anything over because it's already in Paketo community. You should just be able to add it to as a project. That's all I got.
Cool. All right. Next up, Frankie. Default values for language ecosystem and vars set by Buildpacks.
Cool. I'll share my screen quickly. This RFC is hot off the presses, so I won't take too much time to discuss it here because I think it's best just like read and processed that way. But I'll just give a quick summary of it. So I'm just going to read what this says. Paketo build packs sometimes use language, ecosystem, and environment variables to configure build and launch time behavior. An example of this would be the node env environment variable and then node build packs, which does things like determine which dependencies get installed. So the values that are set for these environment variables can come from either user input at build and or launch time, or from build packs sort of opinions about the proper settings that these environment variables should have at container build. So an example of this would be currently, or up until recently, the node build pack sets node env to production because that is sort of an opinion about how these images are going to be used. And so this RFC proposes that if a user provides a language ecosystem environment variable at build time, and the build pack typically sets an opinionated launch time value for that envar, the user's build time input should be set as the launch time default. If that was kind of confusing and abstract, there are a few different examples in the body of the RFC that outline what exactly that would mean in sort of like different cases. And I invite you to take a look at the RFC and evaluate whether you think this is a good idea to actually implement the way that I've written it, given the examples. I appreciate your comments already, Emily. I think the goal here is to try and align all of the build packs on a similar approach here that's easy to explain so that users can have a sort of seamless experience with this, regardless of which ecosystems they use. So yes, please asynchronously comment and let's hash this out.
Yeah, it concerns me a bit from the Java perspective because we have some examples like Java tool options. I think we just, like, the downsides of that, making that change in the Java build packs would outweigh the upsides of consistency, and it's probably not something we'd be able to do. So in my mind, I feel like the question becomes, do we want this to be the like default way of doing things but have a couple outliers like Java tool options, or do we want to like prioritize consistency and sort of move everything to requiring users to explicitly specify stuff at launch time? The part of this I really like is setting default instead of override for all of these variables for launch. I think we actually do that in most of the Java build packs right now, but I can look through to make sure we do that everywhere because it seems like a generally good idea. Okay, seems like the action item there is for everyone else to take a read through. And then next up on our agenda is 2021 roadmap synthesis. I'm assuming this is you, Ryan?
Yeah, I took some time in the last week to read through all the comments and comments on the discussion thread for the 2021 roadmap, and I've kind of synthesized what I saw out into these three kind of top line themes, generally being maturation of the existing build pack feature set, where there's a bunch of stuff that falls under that category, expansion of the build pack ecosystem. That one seems pretty clear. There's, more than probably about 24 different new build packs we could arguably start building, in addition to like a bunch of new kind of integrations and features. And then the last one that is still this kind of nascent category, but like ultimately pretty interesting, is the non-production use cases area. That's kind of what I saw. If folks want to give that a look, point out anything that you think seems wrong or that I may have missed, feel free to just add comments and we can kind of move from there. I hope that by this point next week, we will be able to be in a position to write up a blog post that we can share much more publicly.
Are we currently trying to like filter down from the sort of summary that you gave, Ryan, or like what's the next steps?
So like generally the roadmap is not going to be a prioritized list of we're going to do A and then we're going to do B and then we're going to do C. So I don't really feel a need to filter it. We're basically going to say like, these are the themes for things that are going to be important to us, things that we're going to be focused on. And like, we maybe can kind of organize that list to be prioritized. Sorry, I have a very excited dog here. We can kind of prioritize the things that we think are gonna be much more likely to be worked on. We can kind of move towards the top of those lists and kind of prioritize other stuff that's like in that long tail of like interesting, but we'll probably won't get to it kind of stuff towards the end. I think the point of enumerating everything is really to kind of give people a sense of what that particular category means. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have like a highly prioritized list of things that we're going to work on.
If how we did the C&B roadmap is any useful here, we did something similar where it's not a prioritized list of things that we executed in order, but had high-level themes. I'd say maybe the difference between what you're just proposing, Ryan, and what we've done on C&B is we did try to scope to things we thought we could accomplish in a year. Although some of them are vague, right? So you could call it accomplished at different levels of thoroughness in terms of like, yes, we did ACI integration. So we've done something on this theme. We're not sort of committing to exactly what they are.
Exactly.
Does anyone have any comments now that you've seen the synthesis?
I think it would be cool if we also have like a GitHub style roadmap, like what the C&B project already does. That might be a good way just to like link a lot of the stuff, more granular things like build pack requests and stuff like that. Maybe we can tie it into issues as well. But this is pretty awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, next up, I put this on here. I was noticing all the Java build packs still explicitly declare support for CF Linux FS3 stack, both at the build pack level and when we're talking about what stacks a given dependency runs on. And I was thinking about just cleaning that up because I don't think we're actively using the CF Linux FS3 stack with the cloud native Paketo build packs anymore. I wanted someone to give me an opportunity to tell me that was like a very bad idea and I would break everything if I started removing it.
As far as I understood it, the only dependency that I think may still be outstanding for CF Linux FS3 stack was CF for Kates. But I believe that they had received a message earlier last year that they should move to the other stacks that we're actually going to maintain. I'm not sure what the status of that particular migration is. It would help to illuminate whether or not we can remove support at this point.
Yeah, do we know who, if we wanted to answer that question, do you know who to reach out to, just the channel and Slack?
I mean, there's a CF for Kate's Slack channel in the Cloud Foundry Slack instance. I maybe reach out there. I know Eric Malm is pretty involved in it.
Before we do this as well, would it be possible to send out some kind of deprecation notice? Or I guess to enable to do that, we have to know who's using it right first, but a good idea if it's
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Do we have a Paketo mailing list? No. That might be something we want in the future.
Definitely.
A quick question on this note. Do we still publish the CF Linux FS3 builder image somewhere? Marty or Mark, I want to say we talked about something last year, just publishing the full builder in place of it. I forget if we actually did that or not.
I believe that's what we do. I think we've published the full builder to the CF Linux FS3 tag.
The full CF. Do we also do that with CF Linux FS3?
Pretty sure, but I can tell you right now in a second.
I guess a similar question is, I know the CF Linux FS3 images have other uses that aren't for cloud native build packs, but do we still stackify them on and keep a maintained version of that?
No, not really. We're kind of leaving CF Linux FS3 in the TAS world and referring to everything now as full as the new CF Linux 3 for this world. So we're not bringing that old name with us. If that makes sense. They should be roughly the same though.
Yeah,
Makes
but
sense.
it's still definitely a different image, right? Because we did a lot of work to prune down the list of packages and separate the build
Yeah.
and run images. So it's definitely a different image. We do push the builders still to the Cloud Foundry CF CNB colon CF Linux FS3 tag on Docker Hub. So the full builder goes there, but it doesn't have the CF Linux FS3 stack ID. It has the Bionic stack ID on it.
Seems like if we're not maintaining those builders or stack images, there's not a lot of danger in removing build pack support either. Okay, last item, Paketo bot CLA. All its PRs are being rejected. I know there was a conversation in one of the Slacks, but I was wondering if someone knew who I could follow up with or what the next step was to try to fix the CLA issue.
Yeah. So actually, I just before this meeting, I messaged in the general channel of the Paketo Slack, tagging Chris Clark, who's the person that I reached out to directly to try and get this sorted out. So I asked him to update on that more visible thread when he has an update. As far as I understand, the next step that he's planning on taking is getting the Paketo Buildpacks org into VMware's list of approved orgs, which should sort of make this problem go away. I do wonder, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, if that is what we actually want, given that a Paketo project is under neutral governance. Is that problematic at all?
It depends what approved orgs mean. I guess if VMware says we can take contributions from here, doesn't necessarily mean that they own it, and like maybe that's okay.
Fair. In which case, I guess, in answer to your question, Emily, asking Chris would be what I would do.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, this confused me for similar reasons, right? This is the Cloud Foundry CLA. This isn't a VMware CLA. Like, I'm not quite sure why VMware approved orgs would need to be involved. It's like, can Cloud Foundry org accept Paketo org as a contributor? I feel like is what I would have imagined happening. But also, as a very practical person, I'm happy to do just whatever we need to make the things merge. Okay, I can follow up on that. That's it for our agenda today. Does anybody have any late breaking things they want to talk about?
I had a question. I noticed that under a week ago, the Stack Packs RFC finally landed in CNB, and I was curious if that's going to be implemented anytime soon, or like what's the vibe there? Should we care yet?
It's going to take a while because it's impressively complicated piece of work. It's going to need to roll out in stages. And it's probably not worth trying to make a stack pack until the life cycle has support. Also because the Bionic stack, the stack ID and mixins are actually defined, have known definitions in the CNB project. There was an idea, and I don't know if this will actually happen, that a Bionic stack pack might be the first build pack that actually existed in the CNB org, so that anyone using that shared stack definition could pull in that stack pack. But all of that is not landing probably anytime in the next month, I would say. Because the release of Livecycle that would support stack packs is going to be implementing the 07 APIs, and there's going to be a 06 release first, and the 06 release probably isn't for at least a month. So we're looking at a medium-term time horizon, not a right now problem. Okie dokie. That's it. I guess we can wrap it up. Have a good day, everybody.